All right. Okay. So here's my final thoughts about you guess the faith and fun of Thanksgiving. It's part of the faith of and fun of Halloween and all that. But the only thing that happens to giving thanks to this one, you just have to trust me about all the turkey and all the stuffing and the Thanksgiving uh, fixings and all that. So, well, who knows? Get me civilized. But you just have to remember this because all the family members are arriving it for this holiday gathering. And, um, and that's why I did put things together about this, you know who. I'm going to start recording this if you know what I'm talking about Thanksgiving. The bit is a part of this first installment of these three part installments. One is Thanksgiving, which is next Thursday. You know what I'm talking about. And what about Christmas? Well, Christmas is a huge thing, and so is New Year's. In my humble opinion, you know all know about that as well. So with that in mind, so who knows can be civilized about all the Thanksgiving blessings that everybody knows about? Yeah, free market things about, but the miraculous blessings about who knows. But what do you know about this one? Back in 2000, about the 1,600 years ago, before Plymouth, and that's why a Thanksgiving feast just before Israel it take place it, and just before the important thing in human history about this gratitude. Excuse me. Now, if you don't mind, good, you know, because next Thursday's Thanksgiving. And who wants to be thankful for? Well, because the living God that we are suffering because of Christ. And back in 2022, that Chris Inlow wrote this piece about because, every single year. And that's why I thank God for this one, for this human reality, a person of God, person of Jesus, whatever it is. But, in the personal way to try to relate the Creator God means more than everyone knows about this one. Could be this year about every day, couples or anything else can be civilized or whatever it is. Because God enters a humanity in the person of Jesus and thus experiencing human sufferings when he has rejected the people. And that is why everybody knows that excruciating death of crucifixion, that means suffering is so hard. But for us Christians, the suffering is not meaningless because of Christ, we could see it for this one. So count it all joy, my brothers, according to James 1 verses James chapter 1 verses 2 to 4. And it says, count it all joy, my brothers, when you meet trials for various kinds, for you know that the testing of your faith could be produce fastness. And let steadfastness and could be its full effect, that you may be perfect and complete, lacking of nothing. And you guessed that Corinthians, yes, Second Corinthians chapter 4, verses 8 through 10 says, we are afflicted in every way, but not crushed, but perplexed, but not driven to despair, to persecuted, but not forsaken, to struck down, but not destroyed. And anyways, carrying in the bodies of death of Jesus, and may the life of Jesus may be manifested in our own bodies. That's something to give thankful for this Thanksgiving season. And everybody knows about that as well. And the thing, here's a flashback for you. Back in the thousands, 1,600 years before Plymouth starts, because Thanksgiving took place in Israel. Because many centuries just before autumn, back in 1621, meal. And this is what happens, could be taking place between the colonists and all that. And that's another kind of Thanksgiving feast took place in. And that's the details come from the Bible, especially I guess the Gospel of John chapter 12. And since a little slice that could be wedged between Jesus' greatest miracle, raising his friend Lazarus from the dead, and triumph into Jerusalem that marks you guessed it, the Passover week. And last week, Jesus' life, because on this, yeah, day, Thanksgiving, siblings gave Jesus the dinner. And I want to make this long story short. It's not going to be. It's going to be a important thing to do this because could be everybody's discussing the passage on Sunday, using to mention the Greek word dinner or supper. But in John chapter 12 says it's the same word using the revelation. Yeah, chapter 19 describing it. Marriage supper of the Lamb. And it's amazing that hidden away gathering could be powerful that you can imagine about you. Yeah, that's right. And it turns out to be a feast. And that's why Martha serves the meal and Lazarus reclining the table about this. But what about Judas on his music, trying to criticizing Mary and extravagant? Um. Here's the answer about this. Mary's extravagant gesture, a waste of finances, which after Jesus tells him to leave her alone so that she could keep it for the day of my burial. And for the poor, you always have with you. But you do not always have me. And that's the subject that I bring up to you with the Blaze Nation podcast holiday special. Could be part one of, Thanksgiving. And it's going to be Thanksgiving Day. And I will download it and I will do this on Spotify. And you should listen to it as well on the iHeartRadio app all the way up to Apple Podcast, as far as we concerned. But here's the thing you ought to know by now, because everything could be long before turkey stuffing cranberry sauce and sleeping it off while you're watching NFL and college football players or take the field or anything else, and could be Black Friday. And what about Cyber Monday? Yeah, I guessed it. And all that could be outrageous to discount all these things. What's more about that could be gratitude. And what's a daily gratitude really mean? It means we can literally change our attitudes for the better over time. And therefore, no matter what happens to us, and no matter how bad we think, and we reshaping our lives for our attitudes and hearts, focusing on these things, we're so grateful for our daily basis. So on this Thanksgiving, that is next Thursday, we thank you for these truths that feeding our souls and enlightening our path to this. But I meant to tell you this. Could be everything else could be civilized for the family that takes place and everything else for prayers. Especially the free market has a miraculous blessings and all that. Could be, wow, life challenging as far as we're concerned. So I urge you to on this Thanksgiving Day. Have fun watching football and all that. But and I know NBA. My dad watches it. Yeah, who knows? Give me civilized. And enjoy your Thanksgiving meal and all that. Yes. But there's one thing you forgot. Oh, LHMusic. It's gotta be Thanksgiving service. Yes. Thanksgiving services is gonna be huge. Yeah. Especially my church has a Thanksgiving dinner after my church service, probably this Sunday. And you might think it's so smart about Stewardship Sunday. Thank you, Reverend. Yeah, that's right. Tim Anderson. Yeah. Yeah. Reverend Tony's uh, father, at my church. But the only thing that happens is church service, I know, on Thanksgiving Day, and you all know by now, could be huge. Trust me. So, anyways, like I said, listen to it. Yeah, for my, that's right, PlayStation Podcast Holiday Special, Part 1, The Faith and Fun of Thanksgiving. And I'll be analyzing this and all bits and pieces and all that stuff. So you just have to trust me because so much to be thankful for is always a blessing to all these things. Trust me. Anyways, have a wonderful Thanksgiving and don't eat too much turkey or anything else can be civilized for once. Okay? Or else you could get a stomach ache or whatever it is. Especially Friendsgiving or after Thanksgiving, you know it's all about. But anyways, happy Thanksgiving. And that's my final video opinion, and I'm sticking to it completely. Amen to that. God bless. Ugh.